why every church needs some form of street ministry. So I've been in a lot of churches in my life, and it's really rare for me to come across any church that really has a lot of active outreach. But there are a lot that does. I'm definitely not trying to knock what they're doing out there, but there are a lot of churches that don't. And there was a book that I had read recently that really took it home for me. And the question they proposed was, if your church was to close tomorrow, would it make any difference in the community? Would the community miss that church? And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of churches, that answer is yes. Because, we've spent this time building up a congregation, and, we've got loyal followers and people that go and they learn about Jesus every week, and that's very important. And a lot of those people have personal lives that they still have to attend to. I understand that they don't have time for that. But there are a lot of people that do. They have the time, they've got the freedom, and they've got the energy to do it. So I think it's just really a matter of encouragement, and also just a lack of information is part of the reason that we don't have the outreach that we really should have in the churches today. And what really just upsets me and doesn't make me feel good is the fact that the only ones that are really out there are the false religions teaching the false Jesus, like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses. That just doesn't sit right with me, and that's part of why I do full-time street ministry, because I want to be out there as a hedge against what they're doing, and really try to help people, lead people to the gospel and the love of God that's really there, and all the fruits in the Spirit and all the things that we receive from the kingdom. But these are things that we can share with others. So I do encourage you, if you do see this video, to talk to your pastor about designing some form of outreach ministry. I mean, that could be, being out on the street like I do with signs, doing the street preaching with the megaphone, because, that really actually is effective. But also you can do jail outreach, prison outreach, feeding the homeless once a week at your church. So that way that they know you're there and that the doors are open. And I think that's a big reason that people are turned off by modern church today, is they don't really feel like they're welcome there. And that's pretty sad, and we really need to change that stigma. And that really starts at the street level. Getting out there, talking to people, finding out what they need. And that's kind of how we model our life after Jesus is, Jesus was always out there with the people, always looking for people to help and restore and encourage or do whatever it took. And we think about the person, one of the people that he healed with that had leprosy, he reached out and touched that person. And that was just really awesome that he was able to make that personal connection with somebody, which we really can't do in the church. Now, the important thing is the church establishment itself is important because it's like the internal organs of the body of Christ. But the internal organs feed the external organs. And if the internal organs have no external organs to feed, then the internal organs start to wither and dry up because they're not doing the job that they were intended to. And that was the thing, is it all does come back to the Great Commission. Go out and make disciples. We're supposed to go out. That's the important thing, is to be out there so people know we're out there. And I understand things like weather can be inclement and things like that. And I don't expect anybody to be out there in a blizzard. Yeah, but you know what? When it's in Phoenix and it's 120 degrees in the middle of summer, guess what? The Jehovah's Witnesses are still out there doing their thing, which isn't very much. So we want to be able to be out there if they're out there, and if we can discourage them from being out there, then that's doing our job as well. Is if there's 41,000 denominations of Christianity and there's only 2 out there, then Houston, we have a big problem. I do see a lot of Catholic churches out, and they can offer encouragement to people and things like that, but I think they're still missing the boat. When you go into the same church year after year after year, you see almost the same people. There's not a lot of new people that come in. Now, there are some churches that do a great job. Where I am here in California, there is a church that does a meal outreach almost every single day of the week, and there are actually street people that aren't street people anymore that go to that church. They got the spiritual food as well, so it was beautiful. Even the door to that church is open. So when they get their meal, the door is open. They can see the inside of the church. People are saying hi to them. People are friendly to them. And I really want to see more of that. And it just really breaks my heart that I don't see that. You go into some of these other churches and they're just so cut off from the outside world. Jesus said to not be of the world, but it's okay to be in the world. We got to be in the world. We got to be completely in the world. We think as a whole, we look at in America, there's a lot of people that go to church and they're wearing crosses, they go to work, they have Bibles out or whatever, and the people around them know about that they're about Jesus, and that's good, but there's a lot of people that don't, and there's a lot of people in the world that we can still reach, and I think it's really important to kind of spread our wings, so I think if you can talk to your pastor about, maybe developing some type of street outreach or doing some type of outreach ministry yourself, or if you're a person who kind of does the small groups and you've left the church establishment, you can still get out there and do things for people, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of believers out there that are homeless, they're sober, they've gone through rehab, and they're just sitting there just hanging out. And if the church was to step up and take care of the responsibility of the care of the community like they're supposed to, then we would get these people off the street and lift them up to being productive Christians. And I think that's another important part of it. And that's part of where my ministry is going right now, is starting to lift those people up and out so that they can be disciples and they can help. Me as one person, but if I can encourage 10,000 people to do this year, then there's 10,000 more of me doing this. But it's not me, it's 10,000 more Jesuses out there doing what Jesus did. And that's what we got to encourage at the end of the day, is like, Jesus was a very active person in the street ministry. So I just encourage you to follow Jesus, follow me, and let's get out there with the people, because it's really hard for me to be out there and just see people hurting and depressed and sad, or in a moment of need, spiritual need, physical need, whatever that need is, and I can't do anything for them. I have a small congregation that does kind of help me out to help them out, but I think it's going to help me out and help a lot more people out and help the kingdom out primarily if we all get out there. So I encourage you, leave anything in the comments, any questions or concerns you have. I've been doing street ministry for a couple years now, so I am a good resource on it. So just keep reading the Bible and just let the word of Jesus speak to you and encourage you to get out there.